this is going to be a hard pill for people to swallow, but I don't think loyalty is necessarily always reciprocated. There's so many people out there that are so self-centered. They want to take, when in reality, dude, I think the whole key to being fulfilled in life is to give. You have to decide what you stand for. And I think it's important that you're loyal to your values and stand on those regardless of what the other person does. Today we have Q&A. What's up?
What's up? Are you all right?
I don't know why.
Well,
I forget something?
Well,
don't have my Fiji?
Yeah, you're drinking some peasant water.
Well, we're recording. I got the peasant water today. We're recording a little different time of the day, so my routine got messed up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We're like an hour early.
Huh?
About an hour early.
Yeah, we're a couple hours early.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. Usually it takes me till about 2 p.m., which is when we normally record, to really get full of enough energy and enough frustration to really come in and deliver some straight fucking heat.
Right.
But today we're doing a little earlier, so maybe it won't be as hot. Maybe it will. I don't know. We'll find out. What's going on with you?
Hey, man, another day, another beautiful day, finally getting some good weather in good old Missouri, which is always nice.
Yeah.
There's just something about getting some good vitamin D. I don't know.
Yeah. I like to give the vitamin D.
Yeah, you give it?
Yeah.
I'll take some.
I bet you will.
What?
Okay.
No, man. It's just nice, man. It's nice seeing blue skies, fucking sun's up.
Man. It is, dude. The gray winter, man. It's not the cold either. Like when I'm in a place where it's sunny and it's cold and snowy, that's actually some of my favorite weather.
Yeah.
But the grayness here in the Midwest, man, it can get a little wearing on you.
Yeah. Bill Gates just turned down the machine.
Yeah,
just
bro.
a little bit. That's all we need.
Let's have some sun, dude.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
We'll buy your products. Fuck, dude. I couldn't imagine living in somewhere like the Washington, the Northwest where it's like very rainy and cloudy all the time.
Yeah.
Like y'all motherfuckers must be miserable up there.
Well, I mean, that's another episode. I couldn't imagine living in somewhere like Alaska, bro, where like it's dark for like 24 hours at a time. Did you
go to Whistler when we went?
Mm-mm.
A couple years ago, we went to Whistler for a Arte event, and it was like that. It got dark. It's like stayed dark super late, and then got dark super early.
Yeah,
and it was definitely like different.
That's weird. I can't know. I think when people are starting to realize, man, like how important sunlight. We've talked about it on the show, but just being outside in the environment, like it does a tremendous benefit to your body.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's even linked to, depression and certain shit like anxiety disorders and things like that. So it's important, man. I'm just happy that it's here.
Sun recharges the body, man.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest lies told in the world, that like sun's bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
And, also like being wary of how much you wear your sunglasses, because a lot of the vitamin D, we actually convert from the sunlight that comes into our eyes.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to I like sunglasses. I think I look cool, but I try to, make a conscious effort. And if you don't want to do that, just make, you don't want those sunglass tan lines. So I try to spend about, 50-50 without my sunglasses. But anyhow, what's going on?
Yeah, I got some good ones for you.
I bet you do.
I got some good ones. Let's knock these out. Andy, question number 1. We covered first impressions a couple of episodes ago. So this one goes a little bit deeper. We're talking about impressions in business. Andy, what are the first impressions you look for when forming a relationship with someone important for your business? For example, vendors or suppliers. What makes you choose them, and what makes them stand out amongst the other competitors?
Well, I think it depends, man. I think I in some scenarios in business, people have something that is very desirable. They have a service or a product or something that you can only get from them. And in that case, if you need the product, it really doesn't matter what you look for because it's exclusive. So that's a real scenario that happens oftentimes. However, most of the time we have options. So if we're running a business and we're looking to, make the business work, there's a couple things that we got to take into account. One, is it financially feasible for us to use this company? Does it make sense? Is it going to make sense to our bottom line? That's something that we always have to be aware of. We talk a lot these days, especially about feeling good or finding the right connection or finding something that we vibe with or believe in. But the truth of the matter is that if we can't finance our business and we can't make the numbers work, we don't have a business. So that's the first thing that really I think you should look at as a true operator. Secondly, if there's multiple things that make financial sense, and maybe they don't, maybe one company makes a little bit more financial sense, and the other company, you got to pay a little bit more, and it costs you a little bit of margin, but they're much better at what they do.
Mhm.
Maybe they're better on their service game, or they're easier to get a hold of, or their supply chain is quicker, or whatever it may be. Sometimes it's worth it to go with the option that actually works better in terms of everything else but price, because the reality is, guys, most cases in life, you get what you pay for. That's the truth. All right. It's very rare in society. People like to think this way, but it's not actually true that, the cheapest thing is the best. It's usually not the case. Usually there is a price quality correlation that goes along with whatever product or service is being offered. And typically, the more someone charges, they're usually providing value that can benefit you in other ways, strategically or service-wise, or other things like that. Or maybe their quality is just that much better. But there's always a lot of reasons to be or to evaluate what it is you're trying to choose. For me, I like to work with people that I like. I like to work with people that hold a high standard. I like to work with people who don't fuck up. I like to work with people who pay attention to detail and who actually care about what's going on my end. And if that costs me a little bit more money, then that's what we'll do, because I think that's important to the operations of a business. We have to be able to rely on what people say and them delivering on what they promise for us to run what we run, right? And it doesn't matter if it's, supplements or fucking widgets, or it doesn't matter. It's a idea that spans across all business. So, I think it's important to evaluate that. A lot of people will just jump in with the cheapest thing. And dude, you have to remember also, in finished good products, whatever it is that you offer, whether it's a hard product, whether it's a service, whatever it is, there is a price value correlation there too. So you have to decide where you want to be in the market. Do you want to be the discount brand? Do you want to be the medium brand? Or do you want to be the premium brand? Personally, I prefer premium. I think that's the easiest thing for me personally to deal with, because I don't mind someone looking me in the eye and saying, bro, I can't afford your stuff.
Yeah.
But I hate someone looking me in the eye and saying, bro, your stuff sucks.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, it bothers me.
Yeah.
So and whether that be any of the businesses that I'm in, I always like to play in the premium space, because I feel like that I'm a premium customer and how I evaluate products and services. And that's something that I can relate to the most as an operator. And like I said, it's just, you're going to deal with one or the other. You're either going to deal with people saying, I don't like your product, it's not good enough, or you're going to deal with people saying, hey, that product's not for me because it costs too much. And either way, you're going to have people that don't want your shit. So you have to just make a real good decision about where you want to be. And I think there's room for all of those. There's definitely, and it's not, I think, there's scientific proof that there's room for good, better, best options in any product category. So, to evaluate what the best vendor is or the best strategic partner, there's just a lot of variables that go into play depending on where you're trying to operate from. And, it's not always about money. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Have you seen also too, how much does, I guess, time in business, reputation of company play as a leverage factor, right? Like when you first started in 99, or let's say from 1999 to 2005, your reputation, your business credit, if you will, right? Like how much has that changed versus where you are now when it comes to getting these relationships?
Oh, well, I think that matters. I think, when you're an unknown and you're still new and people aren't familiar with your brand, you get less favorable deals. You get less people that want to work with you. You get less people and this is a reality. This is why you guys in business need to really stick it out, because eventually that part of it does get better. Back in the day, man, we had to, it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting question you brought up, because we kind of got lucky on this aspect. And when I tell you why we got lucky,
here we go.
Yeah. No, listen, we did get lucky. But when I tell you why I was lucky, you're going to be like, what the fuck? I was lucky to get stabbed in the fucking face. It was the best thing that ever happened to me for business, because people started to remember me. All right. So when we were new in business, I got stabbed in 2003. And nobody up until that point, that was our 3 years in business, going in our 4th year. And we had the hardest time getting anyone to pay attention to us, because we were not memorable. We weren't recognizable. Nobody knew who we were. We were a little tiny bitty company. We had no business leverage whatsoever because we didn't have any fucking money, bro. And like money talks, bullshit walks when it comes to this shit, right?
No matter how pretty you want it to sound.
Yeah, right. Like it's the reality.
Yeah.
And so we had to leverage our other assets to get attention from some of the companies that we wanted to work with, right? And me getting stabbed in the face made me very memorable because my face was very fucked up. It looks, man, it looks like gold now, right? But look, real talk, my face was swollen the size of a grapefruit for about a year. And so I looked weird. And, as hard as that was for me mentally to deal with, when I look back on it from where I am now, and bro, I dealt with suicidal thoughts literally fucking all day long, every day. Definitely the hardest time of my life that I ever went through, no doubt. But when I look back on it, it was actually something that really helped our business because I became memorable. It became something that people talked about, whether it was good or bad, right?
Yeah.
And, give you an example. Like we would go to the Arnold or the Olympia back then and nobody knew who we were, right? And people would say, oh, the guys that own supplement superstores. And people would be like, no, I don't know who you know him. Andy, he's the one with the fucking, the thing, right?
The face, yeah.
Right. Like, and I know this because people have told me this over the years that it actually made them remember us. So, that really helped us become memorable and allowed us to really meet some really good people that took good care of us through the years. There's some people that I'm eternally indebted to because of the things that they did to help us along the way, to guide us, to teach us. And this is why I support people even in my own space who are not as far along as I am, because like, I think that's the duty, right? Like I'm that person and I have a responsibility to pay that back and really help the smaller guys figure out what the fuck they're doing, which is why, a lot of people, they see me talking to some of the owners of these other companies or hanging out with them and shit. And they look at it, they're like, what the fuck is that about? Well, bro, that's a moral obligation that we have to help the people come behind us to run the path the right way. And so I'm just repaying what was done to me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But, back to the point, as you become more recognizable and as you become more successful, people start to come to you. And then when you get like to a decent size, and when I say decent, when you get into that, that 8 to 9 figure range, high 8s, low 9s, people are knocking your door down to come do business with you. So like the whole dynamic changes if you stick with it long enough. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But the principles of how you get those deals remain the same.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, bro. And look, this is the long game. A lot of you guys in business are so impatient. You don't understand that this is not going to take a couple years. This is going to be your life, and treating people right, doing the right thing over the long haul, bro, there's not a motherfucker in this space, in my spaces, in any of the space I'm in, not a single motherfucker, not a single one that could say that I haven't done anything but try to help them. Not a single one. They might say, oh, watch out for Andy because he's a fucking tough competitor. They might say that, but I have never, ever, ever, ever fucked a person in business. I've always tried to help. I've always tried to push down the road. And a lot of times, people are taken aback by that. They're like, what's this dude want? Why is he talking to me? Why is he trying to help? And it's like, bro, I'm just trying to do what other people did for me. Because I feel like it's the right thing to do. So, and yeah, you can.
It makes you think, it's like, do you want the fucking hammer? Like, where? Like,
no, it's not that, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Like when I was younger, bro, I was, it was different. But now, like, we've gotten to a point now where I realize, like, I kind of realize where I'm at, right? Like, I'm very small where I want to go to, but for the space that we're in, we're very successful and recognized for that. And so I see a lot of smaller companies that really struggle. But bro, some of these owners of these other companies that are a little bit behind us, or maybe even a lot behind us, these are my best fucking friends. And you know this because I talk to them on our walks. I'll talk to some of the owners of these other companies for fucking 2 hours, multiple times a week, trying to help them work through their shit. So, and I give it away for free because, there's no shortage of business available. And especially when it comes to, helping people, I think it's just a good karmic thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Moving right along, guys. Question number 2. Andy, I've been in business for 4 years. I have 7 full-time employees, and I just had my first employee quit on me. I wouldn't say he was a key player, but the absence and increased workload is definitely noticed. He never complained or brought any issues to me directly. But I have just learned recently through another employee of mine that he did not trust, quote, aggressive offensive direction I'm taking the company during these troubling times, and did not believe in my abilities to win. How did you look at people quitting early on in business, and how should I look at the situation as I'm now starting to second guess my decisions?
Man, this is a really good question. You guys really need to listen to the answer here, okay? Because the way I used to feel compared to how I feel now, it's completely the opposite. 10 years ago, when we were still like, we were just getting it going. Maybe let's say 15 years ago, all right? Let's say we're 24 years, 15 years ago, be 9 years in. We were struggling, bro. We were fighting every day. Every day was a fucking war. And so like when people quit on me, dude, I took it fucking very personally. Like I felt like, fuck you, and even to the point where I was like, dude, I back then, I used to even be like, fuck, I hope they fucking fall on their face. Like I thought I looked at it the wrong way. And over time, especially after I got into the personal development space, which was, a couple years after this time, I started to realize and see my employees differently. I started to see them as, I changed my philosophy. My philosophy was, well, fuck you. If you're not in, you're fucking out. You know what I'm saying? And like, bro, there's a time and place for that. There really is. But it's not a good way to go through life, because it creates situations where there's animosity later that is totally unnecessary, bro. The reality of the situation is employees are going to come, employees are going to change their life path. They're going to choose to do different things. And there's no reason to be upset about those things. So you shouldn't take it personally. If somebody doesn't want to be on your team, why the fuck do you want them on your team?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if they just don't want to be on your team and they want to choose a different path, why wouldn't you help them on that path? Then you've got an advocate out there talking about how much you helped them. That's a good thing for you, right? It's a good thing for your business. So I adjusted my perspective over the course of time. And it really came down to, I had one employee quit on me who was actually a really good fucking friend of mine. And he's still a great friend of mine. He was valuable in the company. But when he left, he went to do his own thing, and he actually ended up going to law school. He became a lawyer, and he's actually one of my lawyers now. All right,
full circle.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna say his name. But like when he left, dude, it like hurt. It was like a wake up call for me, because I realized, okay, I care about this dude. This is one of my best friends. He's choosing to go on this path that he feels he needs to be on, and now he's a very successful attorney with his own practice. He represents me in a lot of stuff. So, I started to look at it as, all right, not everybody's going to be here for long term, but the time that they're here, I want to pour into them to make sure that when they leave here, they're more equipped to be successful at something else. And so I changed my philosophy a number of years ago about, all right, like if someone wants to go on their own path, then it's my job to equip them while they're here so that they can look back and say, fuck, that's where I learned how to do this shit. Right. And then you make a friend for life, someone that you get to celebrate with, someone that you get to be happy with, someone when they win, you're like, fuck yeah. Like that's cool as shit. And like, so one of the things that I derive what I'm proud of is that I have a number of people that spent, time with me who have gone out and been very successful in other things. And that makes me proud. And I think that's an important perspective to have. So if you're in the beginning and you're more like taking it personal, I would say you should shift your perspective to really just, and I think there's an energy aspect to this too, bro. I think when you want good for other people, good things happen to you. And I'm talking about from your heart, not like you're just saying it, right?
Right.
And it's a little contrarian to the way that most people are treated whenever they leave their position. Most people that are treated when they leave their position, they feel like there's angst or animosity. And I think a lot of times, people automatically believe that that's the case, but how I look at it is like, dude, if you spent time here, first of all, I'm very appreciative of the time that you put in. Second of all, I want you to win. Third of all, whatever you need to do to win, I'm where I'm at, and we can always have a conversation. I'll advise you and tell you what I think is the right thing, selflessly.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a more peaceful way to live too, because you don't have the internal anxiety from these rough relationships, and bro, it's a growing process. And I think it's I think the quicker that you can change your perspective to look at your people and say, all right, look, I know for sure not everybody's going to stay here forever. However, I want them to look back and say, this is the best this is the best previous place that I ever worked, and I learned a lot there, and it's helped me succeed in life. And so that's kind of been my journey on it, and it's been a total 180.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I love that take. I mean, especially like in their situation, because like I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, well, you're about to go into some troubling waters, right? We know what the world temperature is.
Mm-hmm.
You got somebody in the boat that whether they don't want to row, can't row, whatever the case is, like
or they're going to row at a different pace.
Yeah, it's like
if you have 4 guys on one side of the boat and 4 guys on the other side of the boat, and one of the guys on the left is rowing at the different pace, the boat's going to go in circles. It might go in big circles, but it's going to go in circles. It's not going to go straight.
Right.
And so that's how you have to look at it. Like when you have people that aren't bought in, when you have people that wish they were doing other things, it's better for everybody that they go do those other things, so that that your boat can continue to move, and then they can take their boat and go build their own ship. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man. It's
a maturity process, bro.
It is for sure.
Yeah, because it's easy to take the shit personally.
Yeah, I just hate that there's such a stigma on that, man. Like I never really realized it. I
think a lot of people who leave their job automatically, like no matter what job they leave, they automatically like feel like, it's a negative thing, and that the job is disappointed, or they hate them, or this or that. And that's probably true at most places, but
it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. And I don't think that if you're going to run a good, and sometimes, bro, like in this situation where it's someone who is really valuable, it's fucking hard because you're like, fuck, this is going to be a huge pain in the fucking ass. However, long-term, if you look at it the right way, it becomes a true asset to your life because you develop a good friendship, a great relationship. And, I think it's good energy and good karma.
Yeah.
I think when you help people, I think it comes back. I do think that I don't think you get it back evenly. I think when you help people like at 100% effort, right, you might get back 30% of that result, but it's better than getting back none.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like
facts.
It's better than having it be negative. So, and I think that's a whole nother topic we could do a whole show on, but the amount of intent that you put out, the return is not always equate to the amount of the intent. That means you have to do a lot of good to get good back.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
A lot more good than you're going to get back. Like you have to far over deliver, and then you're going to get like a medium amount of good back, and it's going to frustrate the shit out of you. But like, dude, it's just the way it works.
And it ain't going to be instantly either.
No,
it's like 3 years from now.
Yeah, it takes time. But like, bro, I think that's it's just a maturity thing. I think you grow through this process. I think anybody in business feels this way, especially when you're like in the beginning stages and you're really struggling. And like, bro, you really fucking need good people. And then the good people decide they want to go do something else. It hurts.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to take personally, but I don't think that's a good strategy for a shit ton of reasons.
Yeah. I love it. Andy, our third and final question number 3. Andy, how do you look at and value loyalty? I'm 34 years old, and I'm realizing that I may have been too loyal for too long to people who didn't really deserve my loyalty. What are the MF CEO's rules for loyalty?
Well, I don't think, this is going to be a hard pill for people to swallow, but I don't think loyalty is necessarily always reciprocated. I don't think, just like I said a minute ago with the energy,
a two-way street.
It's not always a two-way street. Like it's just not. And I think you have to decide who you are. You have to decide what you stand for. And I think it's important that you're loyal to your values and stand on those regardless of what the other person does. And that doesn't mean become a rug that people walk all over. If someone's going to disrespect you or talk shit or fucking try to hurt you. But what it does mean is you stand firm in who you are and be loyal to those things. I think loyalty is often misconstrued about like a bond between two people, when I think really loyalty should be turned inward to say I'm loyal to the core values and the character traits that I want to live with and stand on. And if you're loyal to those and other people treat you bad, which they will, you can always look in the mirror and say, well, I did the right thing. And I think that's the most important thing.
We're hitting something deep right here, man. You can't be loyal to nobody else if you're not loyal to yourself.
Yeah, but most people don't understand what loyal to yourself means. Yeah. Most people don't even have their own set of core values. They just think there's people with good character and there's people with poor character. And character is developed over commitment to values. So you have to sit down and you, just like I would for a company, like decide, okay, what's this going to stand for? It's going to stand for this. And you have to do that for your life. Now most people never do that. So just like if you were going to go on a road trip and you never mapped out where the fuck you're going, how are you going to get there? So you have to decide what it is you want your life to represent. And then you have to define those in some specific values. And then you have to be loyal to those values. All right. So that's what loyalty to self really means. It means deciding what your standards are, committing to holding those standards and standing on that spot, regardless of how other people treat you. And so you're going to take some abuse with this mentality. You're going to have people fucking hate you. You're going to have people be mean to you. You're going to have people fuck you up. But here's the reality of it. And by the way, sometimes people do cross that line and you have to fucking stand up for yourself. However, I believe that it's the most important thing is for you to stand on what it is that you say you are. And by the way, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to fuck this up. You're going to fucking do things that are a lapse in your own character that you committed to. And you're going to have to learn lessons and do better next time. That's how life works, right? Nobody here is perfect, dude. Like there's this whole thing on the internet where all these motherfuckers pretend like they live their value system perfectly all the time. Like the Bible thumpers, bro, are the worst about this. Like the ultra religious Bible thumper people, they will talk out of both sides of their mouth. They'll preach Jesus and they'll preach all these gospel. They'll recite every single Bible passage that there is. They'll judge you, which by the way, it says in the fucking Bible not to judge people.
Don't recite that one.
Yeah, they'll judge you for not being as good or holy as them, right? While at the same time, behind closed doors, they're doing all kinds of fucked up shit, right? You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And those people tend to be the people who are the most aggressive about imposing their value system on you are usually the ones with the most shit in their fucking closet. All right. So like, don't buy into that shit, bro. Those people like to make other people feel bad because ultimately inside they feel bad about who they are. So that's no disrespect to people who practice religion, who are godly and stuff. I try to do the best I can, man. But my main thing is, decide what it is that you want to be, commit to those things, live those things. When you fuck it up, own it, say, man, you know what? I disappointed myself right there and commit to doing better. And I think that's a good way to live. And like, however people treat you past that, that's really a them problem. You know what I mean? That's not a you problem. It doesn't always mean that you fucked up. It doesn't always mean that like, you're a bad person because I just did a show on rejection, right? Earlier, you guys all heard it a couple episodes ago or whatever. But the point is like we're going to take things personal and we're going to be hurt. But if we can look in the mirror and say, you know what, I didn't compromise who I am and I was loyal to who I was, I actually think that's the most important loyalty that there is. And if you're loyal to that, then your actions of how you treat others are going to be a natural byproduct of that value system that you believe in, right? So if you're committed to these things on the inside, one of those things probably should be like to treat people the right way, right? Even if they're having a bad day, even if like previously they leave your job or they break up with you or whatever,
right.
Like whatever it is, however you're rejected, I think it's important to be loyal to who you are, stand and bro, let me tell you something. Sometimes it's hard as fuck to have high character. Sometimes it's hard as fuck to have high value system. But in the long term of the game, what you're doing by doing that is you're preserving your self-worth, your self-esteem, and your confidence because you can look right in the mirror and say, that didn't really go the way that I wanted. That person treated me like shit. That wasn't fair. It was not cool, but I remained who I am. And I would still, feed this person or take care of them, even if they needed it. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man.
And I think that's a good example to set in the world. And too many people, I was talking about this at home the other day. There's so many people out there that are so self-centered. They want to take, when in reality, dude, I think the whole key to being fulfilled in life is to give. I really do. And that's a hard thing to do sometimes, man, when people aren't fucking treating you right.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So, but that's also remaining loyal to who you are. See what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. I love that take on it.
Huh?
I love that.
Well, I think it's important because loyalty, people think like when you say you're loyal, they almost like take ownership of the other person. It's like, I'm loyal to you, but you have to do this back to me. And that's not actually loyalty, bro. Like that's like a conditional, like contract that once somebody makes a mistake, they're fucking cut off.
Null and void.
And this is propagated through the technological environment that we live in with social media. Because like, look, dude, you know how many friends I've lost because I'm opinionated or I have a different viewpoint of the worldview than they do, or I said something they didn't like, or like I made too much money, or I had too much success. Like, dude, you can't control these things. You have to do the best that you can, and you have to realize that people are going to think the way they think. But like I think we can all do a better job in society of having a little more grace for people when they make mistakes. I think that's a big fucking deal. And I think it's a big problem in society. Like look at the Instagram comments that people dude, people are just dying to fucking crucify people. And it's just like, that's fucking sad, dude. Like imagine how miserable you would have to be to like your whole day is about fucking people up. You know what I'm saying? It's about calling people out. It's about being shitty to people. It's about, talking shit in the comment section on multiple people's posts. Like, bro, those people, that's not a you problem. That's a them problem. And you just have to continue to take the steps down the road. And what's ironic and what I think is, what's happened to me a number of times is a number of times in my life, I've had people mistreat me. And then later on down the road, they come back and apologize. And they say, dude, you know what? I actually had 2 people do this to me in the last like 2 weeks. And it was really nice, actually. But I had a couple people, message me and want to get on the phone and basically apologize for the way that they treated me many years ago, and I just thought that was cool,
yeah.
And so and that's not the first 2 times that's happened. That's just the most recent times. But, a lot of times people will come back around and they'll say, you know what, bro, that wasn't cool of me. I feel bad. I'm sorry. And like, dude, people are doing the best they can, bro. Like that's really the reality. There's some fucked up shit going on in the world. It's hard to fucking get by in the world right now. It's very chaotic. It's very stressful. And I think by having grace, we can kind of like smooth some of the hardship over between human beings. I really think that's the answer. Like the way the system is set up, they want us to fucking attack each other. They want us to hate each other. They want us to spend all day on social media attacking the things that we don't like. And I think it's important for people to realize that if you want that to stop, you have to live that example. And that's a very difficult thing to do. It's very easy to just get sucked into the division, to get sucked into the cancel culture, to get sucked into the fucking mob mentality. That's easy. You know what's hard is saying, nah, y'all are wrong. That ain't cool. And they might have fucked up, but that ain't who that person is. And like taking a fucking stance on that. That's the harder path.
I love that.
And I think usually it's the right path. And sometimes you're going to give people grace 3 or 4 times and you're going to realize that they're just a shitty person and you just move the fuck on. That there's a caveat there too. And sometimes people are going to cross a boundary and you're going to have to stand up for yourself. And sometimes that means some difficult things as well. But I think in most cases, grace is where grace is applicable. And I think it helps society, culture, and the world.
Absolutely, man. I love it. Well, Andy, that was 3, man.
Yeah. Go pay the fee.